left the United States last December for holidays, and I hadn't planned to return until mid-January. And prior to my departure, I used Capital One Bank's online banking service to schedule payment of my auto insurance to Progressive. The payment was due on December 14th, so I scheduled payment for December 8th. And although the funds for my premium of $1,071 was removed from my checking account on December 8th, and the payment was described by the online service as processed on December 14th, the vendor never received the payment. I learned from my insurance agent while I was still traveling overseas that my insurer had canceled my policy due to non-payment of the premium. And I also later learned that my insurer reported the lapse of insurance to the Louisiana Department of Public Safety. Because I was traveling overseas and returned to the United States on a holiday weekend, I was not able to renew my insurance until January 17th, 2023. I renewed my insurance, and then Progressive charged me an additional $50 over the original premium due to the lapse. In addition, I received a demand for payment of $555 from the Louisiana Department of Public Safety due to the lapse of insurance, which I also paid. And I made a letter, I wrote a letter requesting that Capital One reimburse me for the fines and fees that I had to pay due to the fact that they had not paid my insurance at all, let alone on time, even though there was sufficient funds in my account to do so. They informed me that they had, instead of making an electronic payment, they had cut a paper check and sent it through the mails. And then they denied liability and said, oh, we're not responsible. We won't reimburse you. I still want to be reimbursed. I feel that this is their fault. They knew that this was my auto insurance payment. They took no responsibility to even notify me that my insurance had not been paid. Based on their online website, banking service website, I was under the belief that my transaction had been processed and my insurance had been paid on time. And what they were doing was, even though they removed the money from my account, they were simply collecting interest off of my money and not paying my bill and not notifying me that my insurance had not been paid. I had to find out from a third party, again, from my insurance agent, that my auto insurance had not been paid. If they had even notified me that my insurance had not been paid, which they knew because they were still in possession of the money that they had taken out of my account, I would feel that they were at least trying to make things right. But they did nothing. They took the money. They eventually, after a month of collecting interest off it themselves, gave me the money back, but they did nothing about the fees that I had been charged because of non-payment of my insurance. Well, one thing I've already done based on the advice from PissedConsumer is I shared my story with the Attorney General of the state of Louisiana to let them know what's happening with Capital One. Frankly, I'm not quite sure what my next step will be, but I am seriously considering filing a small claims lawsuit against Capital One to get my money. And from my standpoint, even if my lawsuit is not successful, it's going to cost them more money to defend against the suit than if they had done the right thing and reimbursed me for the fees and fines that I had to pay because of their negligence. I never chose to be a Capital One Bank customer. I opened my account with the local bank here in New Orleans that was called Hibernia. Um, Hibernia, many years ago, was bought out by Capital One, this huge national bank. So that's how I became a Capital One Bank customer. But my account with that bank has been one that I've had for almost 30 years. And I noticed over the years after Capital One acquired Hibernia that the services that they offered continue to go down and be cut and be lessened. They don't make loans. They don't do home equity loans. They don't do car loans. They don't. I mean, it was really, it had just become like this check cashing place rather than a real bank. And as I saw the services that were being offered to customers being eliminated one after another, I knew that I needed to get out of that bank. But, I think, for people who are busy like myself, there's a bit of inertia that sets in, especially when trying to change your bank involves so many steps. I have automatic deposit of my paycheck to my account. I had automatic payments set up using their online service. I was, even an account that another account that I never opened with Capital One Bank. I had an ING Orange account that was like my separate account that I was using to save for purposes of paying my taxes and insurance. Well, they acquired that account too. So all of a sudden, they had monopolized all of my accounts, and then they started eliminating services and treating me as though I didn't matter. So the first thing I did when it became absolutely clear that they were just giving me a runaround and would not reimburse me for the damage that they caused was I went over there and I closed most of my accounts in the bank. And I opened them with another local credit union that I'm much more satisfied with. But, I didn't want to cut my own throat in terms of eliminating the checking account that I've had with them until I was ready to do so. So once I'm able to transfer all of my payments, transfer my automatic deposits, I will close all of my accounts with Capital One because I just don't think that they care about their customers.